And we're back with another episode of the AC Milan Zone podcast. Before I forget, because you know I always forget, if you're watching this live, please drop a follow and subscribe. If you're watching this recorded after the episode is out, please take your time, drop a comment, let us know what you think about all that we say and we will say about the Milan situation. Subscribe and leave a like. It helps us a lot as we grow. I am not joined by my usual comrade Oscar, who's fallen sick. Salute to you, Ozzy. Hopefully feeling better. But thankfully, we had scheduled a banger guest. We continue our streak of inviting over calcio experts born in Canada. And today we're very, very grateful for Marco to be joining us. How you doing, Marco?
Calcio experts, crazy, but I appreciate it, bro. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
You followed the footsteps of Lex, who we loved and a great culture talks. But you're even better because you're a Milanista yourself. So it's much better to kind of have a therapy session after a tough few points dropped with another Milanista.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we can get right into it. Our audience can see in the middle of the screen right now. We played on a Friday night, first Friday night game of the year for us. We might see a couple more without having to play Champions League. Against Pisa, they scored their first goal in 7 hours of football. Almost take away the win, but a debut goal saves us at least 1 point at home. What did you think of the game? Start us off. You can go anywhere. What did you think of the performance?
First half, I thought it was okay. Right, thought we looked all right. I mean, the Rafael goal was once again was brilliant outside the box. That's what three goals in his last two
Yeah.
games. So
Same
he's
exact
hitting some
slot as
good form.
Fiorentina on the
Same
pitch.
exact slot too, which is interesting because it's like he started at the kind of as the more central striker in the last game, and then Allegri moved him right to be more the roaming striker. It's pretty obvious what he's trying to do, and then once again off the left scores again. So I thought first half it was okay. Um, Second half I don't know, we fell off a cliff, and specifically I thought Fofana was incredibly clumsy that game. And the goal that we gave up, obviously not the penalty because that was just unlucky with Coney getting his hand caught there. I mean, what are you going to do about that? But yeah, the other goal that we gave away was just like we shut off, and it's incredibly frustrating. So I mean, shout out to Athakame for a last minute. I mean, great debut goal. Like happy for him for sure, but the fact that we had to rescue ourselves against last place Pisa is not good.
Yeah.
I've always been I try to keep more of a grounded thing when it comes to Milan this year because I've been hearing a lot of non-Milan fans talk about how we're favorites and this and that, and I've always said I'm like there's been so much change that there's no way there's not going to be growing pains in some games, whether it's the top of the table competition or the middle or the bottom. It's just frustrating that we've given up 4 goals to two newly promoted sides, but hey, that's football, right? So I'd say overall, I'm not too worried about it, right? Because we are on overall decent form, but it is still frustrating because that is a game that you should be winning, in my opinion.
No, fully agreed. Again, as you said, newly promoted side seem to cause us the most problems. It is definitely frustrating. It's something that Allegri alluded to in his press conference as well. And yeah, I mean, you're at home, you're top of the league against bottom of the league. You score so early on. This is the classic game that, if you're looking to win the league, you put away early, you rest your men for Atalanta, and you just bring home the 3 points. I mean, how many times did we see Napoli last year, go up, and then at halftime it's 2 or 3 nil, and those relegation side know that they're not gonna win. They're also not looking to get themselves so they're in trouble. Try to maybe pick up a chance if they can play the game, but they will kind of roll over.
Yeah,
But if you keep it 1-0, that's kind of within their plan. Obviously they want to stay 0-0, but they're happy to live at stay behind just one goal, just within reach until the last 30 minutes of football happen. And then, as anyone who's watched Serie A will tell you, anything can happen.
of course.
I'm curious to pick up on a few points. We'll talk about Atekame, which I thought was interesting. I want your opinion on Son Fofana, who you brought up. But let's start with Rafael. Heavily contested man for many reasons throughout his Milan tenure.
Yep.
Third goal in just 2 games. A crossbar hit, a couple chances, was fouled a lot. What do you think of his new role We saw him last time as the main striker. This time he was paired with Santi Jimenez. Was
Mhm.
involved a lot more. I think these new roles allow him to be sort of more, as you said, central, and he drops back a lot more. So he's been physically touching a lot more balls. Do you
Yeah.
think this can work once the promised pair of Pulisic and Leao, which I've yet to see, unfortunately, will come to fruition? Do you think this could do well for Rafa?
It's a great question, honestly. Like the truthful answer is I'm not sure, honestly, and I don't know how. I'm not confident. I'll just say that because it's pretty clear what Allegri's trying to do, and that is obviously in the 3-5-2 with the two strikers up top. One is central and one roams. That's very obvious, right? So you saw in the game we played against Fiorentina, Rafael comes out in the first half. He's the central one, and he's just not. He's not involved. He's not doing much at all. He's trying to find space. He's trying to do this and that, and then second half, and obviously Santi came on too and provided some space because I talked about that during the live watch long. I go, I know Santi's not on form. He's not scoring goals right now, but just to give Fiorentina something to worry about, I want to see Santi on and then let Rafael do his thing more on the left and drift around. There you go, 2 goals, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this is my concern is because I think that Rafael and Pulisic are both at their best in that roaming role, right? So the question then becomes once they're both healthy and fit, like who does what, right? Or does Allegri change? So
Yeah.
I don't know if I see Allegri changing. Um, to that extent. So and they're both honestly kind of similar players, right? I know Pulisic's been playing more off the right in his Milan time. Rafael's playing more off the left. So I honestly, does he go to a 3-4-3? I highly doubt that, honestly. So that's a long-winded way, like I said before, of just saying I'm not confident. I'm not sure. I'm very curious to see how he's going to figure that out.
Yeah, I agree. I do think it gets particularly tricky. I mean, you're right. Pulisic historically played obviously on the right, but if you see the heat maps at the beginning of the season when he plays as sort of the second striker with usually Jimenez, he's,
Yeah.
his heat map is right red on that Leao region on the left.
Hmm.
And to add a little extra salt to Allegri's decision, you have Nkunku, who is also not a first striker, also someone who wants to play as a second striker, also someone who more often than not goes left. I do
Who should
think
have
that a
scored,
lot
by
of
the way? He should have scored.
yes,
And Kunku should have
absolutely. I
scored.
think we can get
Wow. It's
into
got
three big chances that both that
yeah.
Leao and Kuku and Saleh markers right at the end had.
Yeah. But
Um,
sorry to cut you off. I
no,
just
no,
had
no,
to
no,
that
no,
he should have
absolutely.
bodied. He
Yeah,
should
and
have
Kuku,
buried that.
he had that great goal against France and then got injured again, which is sort of the story of his career. But yeah, we can get into him
Yeah.
in a second. Um, to wrap up on Rafa Leao, I do think people write him off after that Fiorentina game. He played as lone striker and didn't do well, but also so many injuries. Salemakers was
Yeah.
his second striker. I think in a situation where you have Pulisic and there's more attention on both, I think he could be there. I saw him receive the ball with his back to goal a little bit more. It's still not his bread and butter. You can see that. But I think there's something that Allegri can work on. And if we were switching and started talking about his striker partner, how disappointed were you in Santi Jimenez? I mean, it felt like he was building. I feel like confidence was going up. We were just missing that
Yeah.
goal. You see, okay, 20th place, Pisa. This is the moment. Does not deliver.
Yeah.
How disappointed were you in the game, and where do you see his Milan future going forward?
Yeah, just to bring it back to Rafa one more time because
Mm-hmm.
you're right, right? It's almost like I mean Rafa is built like almost a big striker, like he's a huge guy, right? So I do think that when they're both healthy and fit, I honestly feel like maybe there's a way we can have them both sort of be roaming, right? Like wherever they see fit, they're such smart footballers, they're so effective. I do think Pulisic's work rate lends himself better to that roaming role, whereas Rafael likes to kind of receive the ball in his space, then he'll run with it. So I guess we'll see how that happens. But I think what you said too, I wanted to just touch on that too, was a fair point, is that he played that role, which he's not 100% comfortable with after being out for so long and playing, 60 minutes of football. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was seeing comments in my videos of cash in on Rafael Leao. He has to go. He's not, it's just like everyone has to relax. Everyone needs to relax and give these
Agreed.
players some time. So, but yeah, now going on to Santi, who really is our only true striker in the team right now. Yeah, very disappointed for him in that game. I did make a video before that game happened too, saying this is going to be it. Has to be it. Like Santi has to bag one here. The confidence was building. I thought he looked really good coming off the bench. against
Yeah,
Juventus. I thought he gave us something different against Fiorentina as well and opened up that game a little bit. He has a great work rate. But at the same time, man, he is a striker. You got to score. Like we need goals. I don't know other. There's no other way to put it. And people say, "Oh, you keep scapegoating." Guys, he's a literal striker. That is his job. Is I get it. The pressing is awesome, and he's getting better at the hold up play. And I get all that. But he
yeah,
is paid. We paid 40 million, 35 million to see some goals, and he's just not scoring. Right? He wasn't. He's not even. I don't think he even got in great spots yesterday too. Like that was the one thing where I thought, he missed 9 big chances, but early in the year, everyone had that stat,
hmm
7 big chances missed, then it was 8 and 9, whatever, and everyone said, well, at least he's getting in the position to score those, and one day maybe it'll click. Last night was not even he wasn't even getting there,
yeah.
right? Like he was just late. He wasn't getting he wasn't aggressive, and it's just bad. It was bad,
Yeah, he fully
disappointing. Yeah,
disappeared out of the game,
yeah,
which is the concern. You see, I fully agree with you. Against Fiorentina, he comes on, he doesn't score, but he gets a great chance in. The guy pulls off an incredible save, and he creates the penalty. He's getting the right positions. He's making those runs. He's getting that service. Yesterday, he would just fade completely out of the game. And if you're
yeah,
not even making runs, if you're not even being able to hold up play, we had games with Giroud where at the end of the Pioli tenure, where we looked rough and we created very little. But Giroud put his big back, against the goal, held up play, had a couple of good 1-2s, created something out of nowhere. You gotta be able to do that when you're a striker, even if it's not in the night where chances are falling left and right. And
100%.
yeah, I mean, at the moment he's purely playing because there's no other alternative. If Pulisic was healthy, I think if Nkuku doesn't hurt himself right after the international game, he probably doesn't even start this game. Um, and you have to think what will happen to him once there's more options and the transfer window is looming. We know that already last summer, it was very clear. They spoke about it very candidly when the season already started that they were trying to get rid of him.
Yep.
And you have to wonder if that will happen. Before we move on, let me catch up a little bit with the chat. A lot of hi to our new guest, Marco. Thank you, Liza, and thank you, Oscar. A quick question, seeing as our bench is looking wafer thin, what additions or specific players or positions do you guys want to see added to this new squad? I think this plays well with the Santi talk. Um, January is looming already, sort of when it comes to transfer rumors.
True.
Do you think any additions are needed? And if you could pick one, who would it be? Other position or player?
Uh, I don't know if people are gonna like my answer, but because this is more like a biased decision for me, but
Okay.
I do think that going forward, the team does lack a little bit of veteran presence. That's why I love Giroud on the team. I just think he gave us something, and it was just, the team. I think having Luca there is fantastic, and a player like that too. But I do think that up top we need something a little bit different, a bit more versatility. Because right now it's just like a bunch of second strikers, and then one real striker who we try to ship out.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a rumor, and again, I'm gonna fully admit my bias here, but I honestly believe that a loan for Hunmin's son from LAFC could give us something up top still, even at his age. I think he's such a smart player. I think he strikes the ball incredibly well, better than probably most of the players we have on our team right now. And I think in more
Someone
like
for
a
penalties, finally.
someone for penalties finally exactly. And I think in a more like subdued, like central role, he could still do a job for us, no problem. I would look at that like a David Beckham kind of loan situation. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I mean, how old even? I feel like he's not even that old for today's standards. Um,
30, 33, 34, I believe.
that's not bad. Like he might not be just as explosive as he was in his prime Spurs days, but that's not that bad. I would like that too. I'm fully on board. The only thing is, yeah, I mean, I know he's playing more striker these days, but again, it's not really a target man, so to speak.
Yeah,
So now you'll be stacking really a lot of second strikers.
yeah,
Now, I trust Allegri to work his dark magic with pretty much anyone he gets as long as they're a football player.
sure.
But
Yeah,
yeah, no,
fully agree. Fully agree. It doesn't make the most logical sense. That there's definitely probably some other choices out there, but that's who I want.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's a great answer. Um, Another question from the chat, and then we'll get back to the Pisa game. Do you think Amarda becomes a world class player for Milan?
I could do a whole podcast on Camarda. I feel like I hope so. I don't know. I think he has everything. I think to become that. I think it's hard with young players too because I mean, especially at Milan, we love a youngster that we they don't come very often at this club. Like when they're
Yeah,
that special, like when Gigio came around, right?
yeah,
And there's always that kind of backstory of Italian football where we only play old players, and when we finally see one that we have put our faith in, it's easy to get excited. I get excited
yeah,
too. Um, I mean, yeah, the answer is he definitely can become world class. I think I mean, he has a goal record at the youth level that is unbelievable. He's now scored a goal in the Serie A, which is fantastic for him, and he's scored multiple goals now with the U21s.
yeah,
He's still only 17 years old too, so I mean, like it's yeah, he's not Lamine Yamal levels
yeah,
of impact already, but it's happening. I feel like what we're seeing now is that he's starting to come into his own a bit more at a more senior level of football because he definitely looked a bit out of place at Milan the past couple of years when he played. Mind you, not very many minutes. Um, but he definitely was struggling, and even at Lecce too, which I was on the fence about that move.
hmm,
God, they're not very good, are they? So they really struggled to get him anything, and he's just working with scraps over there too. So the fact that he has one goal, I think, is great, and it was a great goal at that too. So long story is long. The short answer is yeah, he can, but we have to be patient with him.
yeah. I tend to agree. Lecce is a shame because I do think the right move was to loan him. Last season, between all the mess of the management and the 17 different coaches we seemingly had, he was meant to leave and then meant to come and be sort of an option. But then we got Tammy Abraham at the last second, and then we decided not to sell Jovic, and then to sell him, and then not to sell him, and then to sell him. So he was fourth striker at times, and then being thrown into the Champions League. So I was happy for him to see more Serie A minutes. I was happy for him to go to a De Francesco team, someone who, even with small teams, usually tries to play forward football. Unfortunately, Lecce does not really have a good squad, and so
No,
even Di Francesco, against his own self, really is trying to play the classic sort of park the bus small team Serie A and try to squeak in um, out of a relegation fight, and that means very slim pickings for Camarda, but also just anybody. So let's
yeah,
see. Season is still long. Maybe down the line, once they're more solid, they'll play more offensive football. I think he's shown that he has everything to become a top proper striker in the league. But let's also not overhype Pio Esposito style. God knows even the national team needs strikers. So let the kids grow up in the right way. Let them score some goals and when it matters, and
yeah.
and we'll get back to that. Um,
Yeah. I do want to say though, because you said the Lecce, like the loan was right, but I don't know, man. I honestly feel like the amount of chances that this Milan team creates this year, like could he do worse than Santi? I don't know. I don't think
yeah,
so.
yeah,
Right? Like I mean, again, not to be harsh. I understand that Santi's had some good performances of
hmm,
late, not yesterday.
yeah,
A couple games ago
yeah,
in the Fiorentina game, but like nine big chances missed. You put Kamada in there. Is he missing all nine of them? I don't know. I honestly
yeah,
feel like my thing was I agree with the loan because the loan happened pretty early in the summertime, right?
hmm,
So I said, okay, obviously they want to loan him out. They want to bring in a veteran striker. They were talking Vlahovic and Dubvik and all these or whatever. They wanted all these sort of profiles that were a bit more established, right? In the Serie A. Fine. If you do that, that's fine. But they didn't do that, right? So my thing was if you're going to loan him and have no plan for who to bring in, then why loan him? Because now we could have maybe used him this year. Honestly, I really believe that. So that was really frustrating, honestly, that it went down like that because then near the end we're trying to ship off Santi and Iglitares talking about we want a Dubvik, we'll see what happens, and poor Santi sitting on the side trying to have a good game. It was such a mess for no reason. So I was on board until I honestly feel like the wrong choice was made now, and that Kamada should have stayed this season based on who we have available now.
yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. You think, yeah, I mean, does he do worse than Santi yesterday? Impossible. Again, I don't have the statistics under me, so I don't know how many balls he touched, but it must have been a handful at most. And so you think, look, if that's the only sort of challenge they would have to make the starting 11 in a game like Pisa, then you're probably feeling good. Of course, Santi in a full healthy squad is probably Allegri's fourth pick to fill up those two
Yeah.
roles in any
Yeah.
order. So you wonder where it would fall. But I agree. I mean, the summer, a lot of things went well. A lot of things didn't. Other things didn't, I should say. And the striker position was definitely one of them. Of course, Allegri wanted a big striker. They got Boniface. Boniface knees disagreed with that move.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, they tried to get Vlahovic. They tried to get Dovbik. And in the end, just sort of fell back on Nkuku. I do wonder if January comes and Juve is in trouble as they are. Vlahovic is walking in the summer. That seems to be still the case, according to Juve and to him. I do
Yep.
wonder if we have a little look and say, look, cut your losses. We give you the whatever it is, 10, 20 mil that you get instead of zero. And if that happens, that could be interesting. Kamara being recalled is more of an hypothetical. I don't think business wise that will happen. Um,
No.
but
You're
yeah,
saying you're saying in January, like get Vlahovic in January.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what kind of money we have, but look, Juve is looking at zero.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it maybe hurts that is us. It would definitely be easier if a Premier League team came by. But I think that price would be very very low because again, you're looking at 6 months of paying his wages and know that he's leaving for zero, and you're anyway trying to play him off the bench because you have 14 strikers, none of which are scoring, but still you have a lot.
Yeah.
Um, it could be interesting. Are you just very quickly? Then I promise to everyone watching, we'll get back to the game. Are you a Vlahovic fan? Because Italy is very, very, always very split. Before, so I don't put you in a trap.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Go for
still
it.
I'm
Yeah.
still on the Vlahovic carro, we say in Italian, on his fan bases. He's definitely not a highest power. He's not, and he's never been, Haaland. Um, but there's a good player there. There's a goal scorer. There's a striker who brings physicality, who brings speed, who on his day can finish very well. And I think you put him in a team that creates some chances like we are right now with Allegri. I think he would score a lot of goals.
Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't say I'm a Vlahovic fan, but he's definitely has a better proven goal scoring record than anybody else we were talking about this past summer, right? So, you want to talk players like
Yeah,
Dovvik and Santi and whatever. It's like Vlahovic at one point, he was one of the hottest sought after strikers in the world,
yeah.
right? So, he definitely knows how to score goals, and he's fallen off his form of recent. And obviously, there's a whole story there about his relationship with Juventus and how Juventus played football and Motta and all the changes they had going on over there too. So yeah, I don't blame him for wanting out at that club as well. So I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but if we get him at the right price, I think that was the biggest thing for me because he's definitely I don't want to pay him 12 million a year. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He's the highest paid player in Serie A.
Yeah,
Even at half his salary, he'd still be the highest paid player at Milan, which it was wild to me, right? So
yeah.
at the right price, I'm on board 100%. So
Okay. I'm glad we agree with that. As I promised, there's a couple more questions in the chat, but we'll get back to those. Conclude our talk on the Pisa game. Um, a few of the performances at the full mob rating up right now for our audience. What did you think of midfield? You mentioned you didn't like Fofana's performance. Modric got man of the match according to the Panini player of the match
yeah,
after the game.
yeah, I saw
What
that.
did you think of Fofana, Ricci, and the other midfielders?
I mean, Modric, I feel like game in, game out, he's always solid. I think
Yeah.
last night he didn't have his best stuff, but his best stuff, his good stuff is still better than I would say most players. So I'm fine with what he
Mm-hmm.
did yesterday. There's some clumsy passes, some wayward passes, but he's not perfect. He's still Luka Modric, but he's not perfect. Yeah, I just thought Fofana was incredibly clumsy looking last night, and I appreciate a player that works hard and he gets up and down the pitch. He also maybe would have had a goal at the end of the game had Salamakis seen him on that kind of that run. So
Mm-hmm.
that would have casted over the kind of clumsiness that I'm talking about. But yeah, I think Ricci, I still like when he plays. I think I wish we could see him more. Obviously, Allegri thinks that Fofana brings something that Ricci doesn't because I think we could run a midfield of Rabiot, Modric, and Ricci, and I'd be fine with that. I think there's enough versatility in there, and they're all great footballers. I just don't think Fofana is that good. I think he's a bit of a destroyer and he's physical on the ball and physical off the ball too, and that's all great. but I just think you should play your better footballers, and I just think Ricci and Rabiot and Modric are better footballers than him, and they should play more together.
Very interesting. I do think I don't honestly disagree with most of that. I do think that Milan fans, as you know, we see online, especially, and both of us are chronically online. Clearly, we're doing this. Uh,
Mm.
there is, I feel like, an unfair bias pro Richie and anti Fofana. And by this, I'm not saying that I hate Richie. I love Richie. I see sort of the same first season that like a Tonali had. Not saying that he will reach that high. Hopefully, we will. But you know, a
Yep.
player that's sort of situating himself and he's growing. And I'm very curious to see Richie next year. I think he will be excellent. And I want to see him play more. But if I look at yesterday's game, I feel like a lot of people are criticizing Fofana. And look, Fofana has a lot of problems. He's not a refined player. As you said, he can be clumsy. He can shoot a ball out of San Siro. And San Siro is a big stadium if you really needed to. But I mean, he, you know, it's not just about his work rate. He's really just, you know, you see him as the sort of in the box defending, and then in the next attack, he's asked by Allegri to be in the opponent's box all the time. He almost had an assist of the year yesterday. Beautiful little
Little flick.
you know, a little flick back heel through the legs
Yeah.
that unfortunately Liao put against the bar. Um, is he perfect? Absolutely not. But he's getting some assists. He's getting some goals. Yesterday, definitely there was some clumsy moment for sure from him and a lot of everybody else. But I feel like Richie had the worst game. What Richie's lacking, I don't know if it's lack of vision or still a little bit kind of like Tonali had in his first year. A little bit of that pressure playing in Milan, and so being more scared to make a mistake than to make a excited to make an exciting play. But there was specifically one ball. I don't know if you remember or notice it. Dying ends of the first half. You know, Rafa is through. He can have the vertical pass, but no, he holds back. You know, and to me, that's what makes Modric great right now. Is that the few times in Serie A that you have a vertical pass, the inside channel to feed, you gotta feed it. And to me, I'm seeing a lot of that from Richie, and still some mistakes on the ball. But everyone is sort of like, okay, it's fine. He's growing, which I am too. But then Fofana comes to Fofana and everyone's bashing him, and I don't know if I'm the only one who is still standing up for him a little bit, and I have my frustration with him as well. But the man has been very intense. He's on either side of the pitch. He's for as clumsy as he is, he does have some nice touches here and there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I just feel like it's a little bit unfair for not necessarily from you. I think your point was very level-headed, but from what I'm seeing online, people describing him as you know, a prime Kevin Constant is,
No, no, no,
is
no,
a little
no.
too rough.
I'm not saying that. I just like I just I think he has a role that he plays, honestly. And I think the biggest thing, I think, because you are right. Like, he has the kind of moments of brilliance, and he did score a goal, and that was a nice goal. He can shoot the ball out of San Siro, like you said, too. He has a couple of nice assists and moments where he could have assisted here or there too. I just think that his main thing, what he gives you, is that he's just a bundle of energy, right? Like, he will run until the last, until the lights turn off in San Siro. He will never stop. Um, but I just think that him in this Milan team in that kind of role is what I think could be more useful off the bench. Like, I just think quality wise, there's more quality when it comes to uh, players' technical ability and passing and shooting from players like Ricci and Modric and Rabiot. And I think when Arden Yashari finally comes back and he gets going too, right? I see Fofana is still a part of this team, but in my opinion, I think there's better options when everyone's healthy for starters. I mean, clearly Allegri disagrees with me, and he gets paid money to coach football, so I'm sure he knows better than I do. But I just hope that we at least get to see, for even a little bit of time. I would love to see a midfield of Rabiot, Modric, and Ricci to see how it goes, or maybe even Yashari starting as well once he's up to speed to see how that goes as well. And then Fofana off the bench, I feel like would be great once. We have Luka Modric right now at 40 years old playing so many
Mm-hmm.
minutes. I think
Yeah.
he'd be a great person to come off the bench when Modric wants to come out. And Modric should not be playing 90 minutes every single game, which I know he's been resting for the Copa games, which is great. But I would prefer if we started the three that we bought, this year that we thought we needed, Rabiot and Modric, and clearly we needed them. So I say play them, and then once one has to come out or we have an injury, then I see Fofana in there. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, very fair, and I do think that once Rabiot, but especially Rabiot will start, but he will definitely be with Modric there. But I do think that Jashari will present a big challenge to Fofana once he comes. I think Ricci
Yeah.
hasn't been playing also a lot because Allegri does seem more of that playmaker role. And
Yep.
as long as Luka Modric is able to walk, he's starting. Now, hopefully, you're right, of course, once everyone's healthy and we start to hopefully putting away this smaller games or teams, smaller teams,
Yep.
Ricci could see some more minutes, but remains to be seen. Um, to continue some players and some performances, I also saw you were hoping and excited to see the Winter start. He
Yep.
was one that was sort of in a similar situation to Santi to me. You saw some minutes here and there, and you say, okay, he's building some momentum. Even though he played just a few minutes, he always came in strong, helped us defend the lead. He did it at Napoli, did it against Fiorentina. He looked very solid. We definitely needed to leave some rest for Pavlovic, one of Pavlovic or Tomori. He comes on for me, maybe the worst of the game. Not necessarily because it was an
Yeah.
awful performance, but just simply because there was a lot of little mistakes. And then you mentioned what can you do on that handball. I a little bit disagree. It's very far. He's stuck in a tough situation because he's using his hand to literally keep the
Yeah.
striker uh, close to him, but a little bit away. But the shot is kind of far. If you're a defender, you just kind of taught to not have it that wide.
Yeah.
Hard for me. I don't know if you are arguing against me, but you see the arguing against the referee. Sorry, but you see the replay and you say, yeah, that's gotta be a handball, and that's just a
Yeah.
clumsy mistake that puts us in a hole that we just couldn't dig ourselves out of, and that's all Pisa needed. I think.
Yeah, I think he was kind of in the middle of trying to. I mean, you're right. He was late because he had the shot came from far and he had time to do it. He was in the middle of realizing that he should be tucking his arm, and it just,
Yeah,
yeah, it was a bit clumsy. But I think, yeah, I mean, yeah, the shot it comes in and it hits. I think there's a bit of unluck in there too, so I
for
don't want
sure.
to blame him too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree with your overall assessment of him that it just maybe it was just first start nerves for him. He definitely didn't look as good as he's been looking coming off the bench. Um, yeah, I agree. Just a few things here or there, and a little out of sorts in some positions too. But I think what we've seen from him so far is usually when we're kind of closing a game off, just needed a little bit of stability in there. The game is supposed to be won, so he's been able to come in with a bit, still pressure, but maybe a little bit less pressure than your first start in front of San Siro. Like it's a big deal for him, right?
Hmm.
And yeah, yesterday I think not his best stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, agreed. Then I think the only player that I wanted to get to before maybe we just discuss some of the referee stars and some of the goals was Atekame. You mentioned in the game he came on debut goal, but what did you think of his performance overall?
Yeah, I think solid. I think he kind of played like more. I think when I saw him too, he was more like left side too. Like he came in for Salamakis, right? Yeah, so not
He came in for Bartesaghi.
for Bartasagi, excuse me. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, all good.
Bartasagi. So yeah, not his like preferred. He's more of a right wing back, obviously, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
think for the role that he had to play, he was okay. And obviously the goal from outside the box, just sneaking through off the post there was a bit fortunate to go in, and he said that he saw that go in. But yeah, good for him. And I thought he was okay. Thought he was all right. I think the kind of signing about the Kame is one of those things where it's so low risk, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
six,
Yeah,
7 million here. Like the worst case that happens with him is that he just doesn't play that much, and
yeah,
some other European club will pay 6 or 7 million once again for him, no problem, right?
yeah. At that
So
age, for sure.
but there is a good ceiling there. And I thought, when we've seen him so far this year, seems like he's getting more and more minutes as time goes on. So I like what I'm seeing so far. I thought he was okay last night.
Yeah. I don't know what to make of him. I always seem to change my mind. While I'm very encouraged by what I see about Bartesaghi, so young and he seems to really grow. I love his
Yep.
crossing. I think he already crosses better than even Salemakers, who's maybe as a weak spot in crossing. Even
Yeah.
though Salemakers is clearly better, of course, at the moment.
Yeah.
Um, I'm loving what I see out of Bartesaghi, even though not perfect. Atikame, yeah, I mean, yesterday was tough. You get put in that sort of game very long, so the wingbacks are asked to do a lot of work. As you said, he's put on the wrong side because we're chasing a game, so Saleh Marquez is never coming out. So Bartezaghi has to
Yeah.
be the one to come out. But gets a yellow card right away, some mistakes, and then to me the big fault was the goal. And this is Pisa's second goal.
Yeah.
He's the one keeping Nzola on side. He doesn't see him clearly, but Nzola makes his run right in front of him. To me, there you either have to be in line and play him off or chase the run. He does neither. Um, Obviously, the whole entire goal doesn't fall on him. This is not how football works.
Yeah.
But to me, there, yeah, you just have, and I get it, wrong side, all that, but again, just you just have to do a little bit better because he's all Pisa needs, right?
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that was a
And
little bit
this is
brutal.
kind of the results you get of just like, yeah, our team is incredibly thin right now, and we're playing
Yeah,
players out of position, and we're just trying to make things work, and we're just, it's what's the saying? It's square pegs and round holes. Like, just, yeah, Atakami's a wing back, play this side, try this. He just got here too, right? So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, 100%. He has partially at fault for that goal. I mean, a lot of the team is. It's just like that goal should never happen like that. It was like there
yeah.
was no one even there. But yeah, um, yeah, it's just right now. It's, again, we should have had enough to get past a team like Pisa, with all due
Hmm.
respect to them. But
Yeah, yeah. I
that's how
mean,
it
we're
goes.
we're just yeah. I mean, clearly we're literally opposite ends of the table
Yeah,
starting off this game week. um no, fully agree with you. The team is so thin. I mean, we saw only two substitutions in a game where you're chasing twice. You'd expect more, but Nkuku, who clearly also wasn't 100%, was thrown in, and Atekame, who, yeah, as many didn't think would play a lot, but that's all we had to offer. We're hoping against Atalanta to maybe get a Loftus-Cheek back. I'm confused about what's happening with Loftus-Cheek. Apparently he was tired, but then he's missed two games, so he's not just tired.
yeah. What's
Um,
going on? It's crazy.
yeah, I don't know. I hate
Yeah,
when the club decides to not give a proper assessment. And I don't know what happened with him. He also frustrates me. I feel like maybe the people that dislike the Rossoneri that dislike Fofana are feel like I do against Loftus Cheek. I feel like even the season where he got a lot of goals, he was just like, we were playing good football and he was doing tap ins. He's not that talented, and it frustrates me because I've seen him dominate games like against PSG in the Champions League.
yeah. We
But
always
then
reference that one game. It's always the one
exactly.
PSG game. Yeah,
But then he looks
yeah,
like he doesn't try. So give me Fofana 100% of the times because, yeah, maybe he'll shoot a ball in the third anello in San Siro for a little kid to grab. But at least he's trying. Loftus-Cheek kind of walks around and that upsets me. And he's not even reliable. I feel like he misses off the bench way too many games.
yeah.
But
I
we,
feel like Loftus Cheek sees himself as like, well, this is the thing. He says he wants to play that 10, right? That's
yeah,
how he sees himself. So he doesn't give you the Fofana effort in the midfield of the box to box, even though he's built like he should be a dominant midfielder, like a box to box midfielder, because he's a big guy,
yeah,
and he's quite like, he's decently skillful, decently quick too. Like, he could do a job for sure if
yeah,
he wanted to, but that's not how he sees himself, as like the skillful 10. And even Allegri's had to play him as a second striker this year because of, also, I'm sure, some injuries have helped those decisions as well. But yeah, it's almost like we all see him a different way. And then Loftus Cheek himself is like, no, 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 I'm more of a Rafael
yeah,
Pulisic, that area of the pitch, where we're all like, please, just please play like Rabiot, basically, right? Like,
yeah,
it,
yeah,
you can do
yeah,
a job there, but I
yeah.
don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
But he would be very much needed, even just off the bench, as Atalanta comes. We will see. On that second Pisa goal, that should never happen, as you said. Also, to pick up a question from the chat, which says, was it me or did the ref seem really against Milan all game? We saw a pretty obvious takedown
No way.
of Gabbia.
Yeah.
Um, what did you think? What did you make of that?
I put in my review when that game was finished, and I was working during that game too, so I had to catch up after the fact too and watch some other
Yeah,
stuff. Other than that, the Gabbia football tackle, like the American football tackle that I saw, I really believed that referee was a huge Milan fan. Honestly, I really believe, like, the calls I was seeing, and even the commentators that we had here in Canada, like when they were talking about some
mm-hmm.
of the calls that were made and the late whistles, I was like, dude, this referee is not good. But even as a Milan fan, this guy might be a bigger Milan fan than me. I really believe that. That's how I saw the game, at least. Again, I couldn't watch super attentively all 90 minutes of the
Of
game, so I
course.
had to kind of catch up after. But from what I saw, I I have to say to any Pisa fan if they watch this that like I think I'm sure they saw the game I saw how I saw it, where it felt like it was leaning more towards us, honestly.
I do think that there's an argument to be made on our goals, really both, about possible offsides. Now, to be fair to the referee, I feel like those calls are, the laws aren't real and aren't precise. Not real, they aren't precise.
Yeah,
But it's called differently every time. Every long shot, it's very, you flip a coin to see if those attackers on offside are impacting the shot or not, even though they don't touch the ball. But especially on the second one where Fofana sort of moves out the way last second, and you can see the goalkeeper makes a mistake. He doesn't dive, but it's because he doesn't see where the ball is going. Um, but to me, that Gabia foul is obvious, and
yeah,
maybe the most concerning part of it is that I feel like we came off of a week after the Fiorentina penalty, which to me was a penalty, a soft one where Santi makes a meal of it for sure, but a penalty
yep,
where
agreed.
there was a lot of pressure in the media, and from other teams saying, "Oh, look at this, Milan gets bailed out," which is deliberately done not to impact the call on Fiorentina. Of course, that's made, that's done and dusted, but to create this sort of pressure on referees, right? You argue the calls for the next call every time, and I feel like it's sort of play out there where they go to VAR, they see. I mean, it doesn't matter that it's away from the ball. This is not an offside situation. This is a foul that occurs
Yeah,
before the ball goes in the back of the net. But it's just like last minute, Pisa gets this goal. Are you gonna be the one to bail out Milan again? And so you're like, it's a foul off ball, whatever. We just let it
yeah,
be. Obviously, not necessarily that's what they say to each other, but I feel like in the back of the referee's mind, that's what's happening,
yeah.
um, and that just seems a little bit rough because,
I
yeah, I
mean, at
mean,
the end too, we had what it was 6 minutes added. We went into the ninth, 10th minute. I was like, dude, this guy wants us to win. Like that's how I saw it. He let that game go long, long, and I was like, if we do win this, I'm gonna say in my review that we stole that. 100% we stole that. I really,
here I have to disagree because
go ahead. Yeah,
Uh, I think we played at least 3 minutes more. Like, I seem to remember 99 being
yeah,
there. I don't know if we went into the hundreds, but because uh, Pisa scored so late, and that the VAR review where they looked at Gabia's foul and decided not to call a foul, we started playing again 1 minute 30 into added time. So that says 3 minutes. 1:30 is just done there, and then we score. Which of course
yeah,
we take the ball, we bring it back, we start up. That didn't go as long as a normal goal would go, but the added 3 minutes, yeah, to me that would have been a big deal. I saw a lot of also Inter fans go with that. Um, we touch almost on everything. It's time to talk about the very end of the game, which you kind of brought up perfectly with the added time.
yeah,
We saw one of three big chances missed right at the end there. Salemaker's wonderful dribble after the poor man, runs every game like a crazy man, and this is the
yeah.
99th minute, as we just said. Puts away one, two, three players. Um, you mentioned maybe a goal if he passes, maybe a goal if he finishes a little bit better. Um, I saw him also just falter to his knees. I can't fault, as I said, I never want to fault effort, so I'm
Yeah.
not too upset. But did you think? I think there was a bigger chance, but do you think there was a worse mistake than maybe Nkuku missing his chance or Rafael hitting his chance off the crossbar?
Yeah, the Rafa one for me is unlucky. I mean, it's sure you keep it down a little bit more, but the play was happening so fast. He got a decent shot off, and it's football off the
Agreed.
crossbar. It's gonna
Yeah,
happen, right? So I don't blame him too much for that one, even though I'm sure some Milan fans will somehow. The Nkunku one
it's
has to go
insane.
in, has to go in. Like that's a goal back in his Leipzig days. He would score 10
Eyes
times out of
closed.
10. 100, yeah, 100%, right? So of
Yeah,
course, he's got the injuries and he had a rough time at Chelsea, like most of our Chelsea signings do. They come to us after a couple rough years at Chelsea, you
yeah,
know. Um, so the confidence I'm sure is low, and he's trying to impress, and he's been in and out, and he's been getting off the bench. So sure, he's not sharp. That's what I'm trying to say here. But
yeah.
to me, a player that we paid that much money for, with a
True.
proven history of all the goals he scored in the Bundesliga, that's got to go in. And then yeah, the Salamakers one, it's yeah, he takes out. Yeah, sure, I think that's the that is kind of that's the ceiling of Salamaca's presented to you, right? Because he does so many things so wonderfully well, and he is saucy and he can dribble pretty well, and his crossing's okay. Everything is pretty good when it comes to Salamaca's. That last final pass, which I think should have been a pass because in the box we had Fofana and I think Nkunku was also in there as well. That probably would have been a goal or at least a shot.
Yeah.
You just saw a little bit of a lack of awareness there, but like you said, man, we were in the 99th minute at that time. I'm sure he's exhausted and just trying to make something happen because he knows that time is ticking. But yeah, that was tough. I thought that should have been squared and that should have been a goal.
Yeah, it's definitely very tough. Um, I don't really blame him. It's one of those. He's not even going on a skill run. He's just kind of going forward. The ball's at his feet.
Exactly. Yeah.
He
Exactly.
dribbles those players, but it's just kind of like it reminded me of like how Inzaghi used to dribble, where he just kind of threw the ball in between the legs of the
Yeah.
defender, and then all right, if I get the
Somehow it gets
rebound, I'm
through.
off.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he gets in front of goal and he just lets it fly. Of course, yeah. We have the vantage position of up there if he sees Fofana, but also sometimes you try to make the extra pass and it just I feel like Leao does that a lot. Actually, tries to make the extra pass and it gets intercepted and you're like, man, it's the 99th minute, you're in front of goal, just shoot the damn thing. So yeah, very unlucky. I do agree that I think Nkunku needs to do better. He gets that first ball, you either shoot it right away, first post, nice and hard, top bins, and you put it away, or if you take the extra touch like you do, you have to do a shot fake there, cut back, let the defender slide, and try it. And yeah, fully agree with you on Leao as well. Obviously, you like to see him put that away, but he just shoots it, hits the bar. What can you do? I'm glad you agree with me on Leao. I've been absolutely fighting a crusade online, I feel like, for Leao against our own fans. My DMs are filled with people saying that Leao should
I know,
apparently
man.
score 2 goals a game, and that he's inconsistent. And I say, wait, hold on. He's averaging 15 goals, 10 assists for the last 4 years. He started 2 games and scored 3, and they're like, yeah, but it should be 5. But he's not a leader. But this and that. And look, you can talk
Yeah.
about his body language and his attitude. Of course, he's not. He's not a perfect player. But
I
it's
think the
killing me.
same way. I think the same way that you and I maybe disagree a bit about Fofana is the same way that we agree on Rafa Leao, where it's like the criticism seems a bit harsh on him because we praise and praise and praise Christian Pulisic, who has a very similar goal scoring record to Rafa Leao.
Yeah,
But yeah, of course, with Rafa Leao, it's always about yeah, he's great, but he should be this and he should be that. I mean, guys, we've seen Rafa Leao now for how many years,
yeah,
right? Like we know what he is,
yeah,
we know what he's not, right? So I really people hate when I say this too because everyone thinks I think everyone who doesn't watch Rafa Leao game in game out like we do think they see the highlight reels, they see the goals that he scores, they think, oh, this guy can win a Ballon d'Or.
yeah,
I'm sorry, Milan fans, if I sound very pessimistic here. I just don't see a Dembele type season Ballon d'Or level in Rafa Leao. I just don't think we'll see it. And I'm sorry if that sounds really negative to you to people, but I think the sample size so far has been big enough that we know exactly what we're going to get. And don't get me wrong, he's still a very special player.
yeah,
He's incredible. He is incredible. But people talk again when you want to talk that Ballon d'Or level, take over an entire team and take over an entire season in the league and in Europe. I just don't know if we're going to see that. And I feel like there's still some time maybe to see it. But as the years go on and he gets older and older, I just think that like the likelihood of that happening is becoming less and less. Right.
yeah, yeah.
Again, not to say he's not incredible and not to say he's not special, but this mythical level that people talk about, I don't know we're going to see it.
Yeah.
I have to be
And
honest.
I mean, I agree, but that's also okay, right? Like,
Yeah,
I
of
don't know why
course.
the
Of
bar is
course.
become Ronaldo or Messi
Of
or
course.
Ballon d'Or. I'm very happy with the Rafa we have. I'm very happy with the Rafa that won us a league. That
Dude, me
the
too. Me
that
too.
Sassuolo's on the line. He gets 3 assists out of 3 goals that he creates nothing like that he creates out of nowhere. Um, that's fine. I don't understand why he all of a sudden needs to average 2 goals a game.
It
He's
doesn't
a
help
world
too
class
when the
player.
manager, yeah, when the managers come in, like, excuse me, like Conte Sal last year, and they say things like Rafa Leao can become the best player in the world, with me, and then Allegri says the same thing too, where we have Rafa Leao, we want to build our team around Rafa Leao, he's the guy, right? So then, of course, we hear those things as fans, and we think, this is it, this is the season. We're gonna see this new new Rafael. It's like I don't know. I want to get in that excitement too. I really want to believe it too, with all the Milan fans that do. But I just think we've seen him now for many years under many managers, and I think we're pretty clear on what kind of player he is, which is still a fantastic world class player, but not that top level.
Yeah, no, no. I mean, totally agreed. I just hate it. Yeah, I just hate it when we're the first one to bash um, who is probably still our best player, or definitely one of our best players. And
Sure.
it's like he's gonna get enough criticism. A lot of it unfair, a lot of it fair. Can we just not be the first ones to, throw shit at our own player? Um,
Yep.
but yeah, that was the Pisa game. One thing that I think, look, definitely wasted points, definitely wasted opportunity. I don't think it's a big crisis. I
Yep.
think if you look at our position in the league and our points, you rarely see a game where we, got more points than we should have. Um, and in the games that we did drop points, Cremonese, two tiny chances, 0.8 expected goals, to bad handled headers, sort of dead ball or dead ball like situations. This game, I mean, Lord knows we talked about it for an hour now. Two goals that neither really should have happened. The Juve
Yeah.
tie, we just have to bury a penalty or one of the two big chances, and we win that.
Yep.
So I feel like we're right about where we deserve to be, maybe just under. And I think during a long season, sort of those averages play out. If you look at teams like, I think Roma, who maybe now starts to struggle, they've been overperforming in terms of points. I think even Napoli has not been playing well. The teams that maybe only underperformed, even though they're right at the top now, is Inter, who we can talk about in a second. I feel like they lost against Juve in a game they should never lose, and they would never lose if they played that same game 10 times. A bad loss against Udinese. We can talk about their Napoli game briefly because I see someone mentioned it in the chat.
Yeah.
But I feel like we are right where we deserve to be. So I don't
Yeah.
think this is wasted chances. And during a long season, you want to win this game. This is what win your Scudetto if you're going for that. But I don't think it's a big crisis moment. Do you agree?
Yeah, of course. No, I 100% agree, and I think I touched on this earlier too, where it's like, yeah, like so many changes this year happened at Milan, and I've seen a lot of creators already say Milan are going to win the Scudetto. It's going to be this is it. This is it. We're 7 games in, and now we're 8 games in. I think we're going to be in the mix, but I think we can't forget that the goal this year is just to get things back on track and get back in Europe because a club Milan cannot miss Europe again. It's just not a thing. So again, that is the goal, and I think although we're dreaming now because of this great start that we've had, I think we can't forget that that's still the goal, and that this team will have some growing pains. There's going to be some frustrating games, just like we saw yesterday, where things are just not going to be. This is not your solidified, cohesive team just yet, and especially with all the injuries that we have currently going on right now. I agree with you. I think we can't be clicking the crisis button every single time we have a bad performance. It's going to happen. It's going to
Yeah.
happen, right? I think if we talk again, you and I, in the next 4 or 5 games, and they played like crap all those 4 games, we could talk about it,
Different
right? But
story.
as of
Yeah.
right now, I think we need to calm some concerns here.
No, I agree. I think the same people that were saying, "Oh, Milan wins the Scudetto by 20 points easy last game," are probably the same ones that are now, "Ooh, big problem for Milan. What should we do?" So, I think the presence of Allegri also helps a lot in this sort of steadying the ship. I saw some great quotes by him after the game saying, "Hey, we just need to work." Even when he was asked about, the Gabbia foul on the goal, a lot of managers and said, yeah, obviously would go on the attack on that. They said, yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but it doesn't matter. We brought this upon ourselves. We should do better, which is what I want to hear out of my manager. Um, yeah, then maybe I mean, to make one more point about what you just said, I think you're right. We will be in the mix. Um, I'm very curious to see what you think. I know we talked about it briefly. Didn't have a chance to watch the game. I only watched part of it. But Napoli beats Inter 3-1.
Mhm.
Spicy game. Two penalties. The first one from Napoli I did see live, and the reaction online seems to be correct according to my judgment. Absolute bad call. We saw a lot of drama between Lautaro and Conte.
Yeah.
But do you think, was this, as a Milan fan, the result you were hoping for? I'll lead you with my answer just to see, then we can compare. Obviously, number one result is Batman style Bane. The pitch opens up and swallows both teams whole.
100%.
If
Yep.
that's not possible, then give me a draw. But
Yep.
if one team had to win, I would have rather Napoli win. I see them a lot less sure than Inter. Inter has been a machine, even in the games that they've lost. They've looked good. I think they will go far in both competitions. Napoli has not played good football. Is still trying to figure out a lot of things. So I prefer them to be to have to get the win over Inter. Who do you think? Who is the biggest threat in your mind?
Um, I still think Napoli, honestly. I do. I think I still trust Conte to. I know all the rhetoric around Conte and how things happen in the second season and how things, he starts getting in these stories and the drama starts to unfold. I get all that. I still think that um I still think he's one of the best league managers of all time. Well, he is one of the best league managers of all time,
Yeah,
right? And of course,
the
Conte in
points per
Europe,
game say that it's not
yeah,
even.
of course, right? I mean, last year they won the league with one of the lowest point totals in a long time. So, take that for whatever you want it to mean. Again, Conte in the league and Conte in Europe is two different things. I still I still just have a lot of belief in Conte that he can figure things out. I don't think he should be shoehorning McTominay in this role that he's put him on, like on the left side. I think it's kind of dumb.
Yeah,
But again, I have to watch the highlights. He had scored a goal today. I saw
yeah,
McTominay, which is great. So I still think Napoli under Conte are the biggest threat. And what I said about Inter early in the year is that Inter have a great team still because not much has changed since last year. And they added, I think, up top very smartly. And you got
yeah.
Esposito
Agreed.
now and brought Bonnie, right? So I think that's great. I'm not convinced about Kivu. And what I said early in the year is that in the big games, when you need to do some coaching, like in the Napoli game,
Yeah,
I think you will see Inter start to fall short because I think that they have a great team that will get them past most of Serie A. But when it comes to the games that are the top end of the table, you're going to see, okay, what choices do you make? What decisions will you make to get you past this game? And I think example number one today against Napoli, they fell short.
absolutely. I mean, that tracks. You saw uh,
And
him
Juve,
not do it against Juve.
yeah,
Um, he did do it against Roma, but that game, I mean, if Roma walks out with 1 point, I think even the Interisti would have said, "Yeah, that's a fair result." I agree with you. I think gets very interesting if they start to struggle. How that locker room reacts is obviously winning cures everything. Everything is smooth when you win, but if you start seeing some issues, how quickly does it crack for a brand new coach, for a locker room that's, as a Milanista, biased of course, but filled with divas, and you saw who they are.
sure.
You saw by the quotes that come out of them about Inzaghi, who made many of these people's career, and they waited very little to
Yeah.
turn around and bash him for leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Divas who have also been through some tough days, you know what I mean? Losing
emotional. Yeah,
two Champions League finals too. So you can imagine in a locker room like that when things start going off the rails, it's like
quick.
it's probably, things are probably on a knife edge there, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Let me have a look quickly at the chat. We talked about the Napoli's penalty. Thank you for that. We talked about the Milan refereeing. Swissovi, KDB can always create regardless of his legs, plus winner mentality. Very true. What do you think of KDB's season? He did score the penalty, the bad
Yep.
penalty. But
Yep.
funnily enough, I don't know if you saw this, pulled his, I assume, hamstring or pulled something in his leg during the penalty, scoring the penalty, and was subbed right after.
No way. Okay, I did
Yeah,
not see that.
so we
That's
don't
tough.
know we don't know how long he's out for, but he right away he went for it, and then he was subbed right after. So we'll see if he misses some time. We'll see if that's maybe good for Napoli, as you said,
Yeah,
reintroducing
I
McTominay.
was gonna
What do you
say, I
think?
was gonna say because McTominay scored today, right? And I
Yeah,
imagine it was following that. Yeah, I
yeah,
think it's of course, I think KDB. I think I picked KDB because I picked Napoli to win the league again this year in my
hmm
predictions during the season. So I just figured, like, obviously the best player will come from the team that wins. So I imagine that KDB would be the player of the year in Serie A. I'm honestly, I think by his incredible standards, I am actually a little bit kind of lukewarm on him this year. I feel like he's been good, he's been okay,
yeah,
but not what you think of when you think of KDB. And I also think what I touched on earlier was just like I think he did a little too much moving around of a team that was quite good last year to fit to fit KDB in. Which I think the biggest sufferer of that has been McTominay, who was your
Yeah,
player of the year last year, who won
yeah,
you so many games almost single handedly, is now playing this kind of shoehorn secondary role to fit a guy who's just been okay. So
yeah,
I'm actually interested now. I'm interested to see with the KDB injury, um, to see if McTominay comes back to form. That'll
yeah.
give, I think, Conte something to think about.
Yeah, and he went again today, sort of forced, but with the 4-1-4-1, it seems like they'll use that moving on. But I agree, he's still got his class. He's still a great player. He will do well.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think it posed some interesting challenges for Napoli. God knows we don't need them to find McTominay in the same form that he had last year. So let's, as Milanistas, let's hope for that not to happen. One more question from the chat, and then we move on quickly on our Atalanta preview and predictions. You have big shoes to fill. Oscar has been pretty good with predictions this year. He did obviously miss the Pisa one. He said we'd win 1-0. Didn't quite happen, but otherwise it's been quite solid. The question, I need to find it again, is what about Lewandowski or Bernardo Silva? Those are also rumors that have been hitting the Milan waves way too early about next summer. What do you think? You said you're a fan of sort of the veteran experience. Those are definitely some veteran
yeah,
names.
yeah,
Would you
yeah.
take both, either? Or yeah,
I think Lewandowski. I said Hunman's son, right? And
mm-hmm.
that's a fully biased choice. I do think Lewandowski would be a smart choice, like similar to a Giroud kind of thing too. I'm sure
Yeah,
so many Milan fans will go be in my comments saying, Marco, we need young guys and up and coming guys. But I look at Lewandowski the same way I look at like Luka Modric, where it's like some guys you just take no matter what age they are for a year or two. They can do wonders for you. I mean, Lewandowski is literally one of the best strikers we've ever seen. And he still has a great record at Barcelona too. So I still think he can do a job. I know Serie A is a bit tougher when it comes to defense. It's a bit more tactical. And like when you play on Barcelona in La Liga, you have to score many goals. And then he also played on Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga too. So of course, like that's not to say his numbers are a bit inflated, but I'm sure if he had played all those years, let's say in Serie A, in the Premier League, we might not have seen as many goals, but still, he is a top class striker, one of the best of all time. I would take him. Bernardo Silva, I think, based on who we already have in the team, I wouldn't make that a priority, but I would still take him on a fair deal on a low wage because he has so much quality.
yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Lewandowski is obviously a position we need more. I tend to agree with
Yep.
you. I think especially us youngsters or people that played a lot of FIFA. I know you used to back in the day, at least. You come from your career mode days, and you're like, nope. If you're over 23, I don't even want to see your name on the team
Yeah.
sheet.
20 23. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
But I mean, we've seen it time and time again. We see with Luka Modric now. We've seen it with Ibra. That sort of statue and veteran leadership is needed in a football team. I mean, look at Inter, one of the oldest teams in Serie A the last couple of years, and dominating and going to Champions League finals. That's what you get. Obviously, you need to balance with some youth because you want your success to be continued. But I agree. I mean, I'll take both in a heartbeat. Bernardo, it's the same situation as Son, where it feels like he's old for last generations of players. These generation of players are like Modric and so on. They don't they don't go old as quickly,
Yeah.
especially if
Yeah.
you're a midfielder and you can uh, you know not be on the wing running, but can make use of your action football abilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Let's then, as we are running out of time, I don't want to steal you for too long. Thank you again for doing this. Move on
Of
to the
course.
Atalanta game. I put that on the screen right now. Atalanta is
Yep.
currently playing. Let me check the scores against Cremonese. They're still 0-0.
Still 0-0. Yeah.
So hoping that this is a hard-fought game. Um, they have were plagued with a lot of injuries a couple of weeks ago. That seemed to be solved for them. They've reintroduced Lukman in uh, uh, in their ranks after the whole summer
Crazy, eh?
debacle.
Crazy.
But yes, they come from a draw in the Champions League to Slavia Praga, 0-0. They come from a draw against Lazio, 0-0. They come from another draw before that to Como, 1-1 this time.
Yeah.
A very Juric team. Solid, doesn't want to risk, very defensive. How do you
Yeah.
see this game on a Tuesday? That's gonna be rough for you work wise with the time zones.
Yeah,
Uh,
it'll be rough. Yeah,
but
sadly rough for me. I mean, like, yeah, I thought it was such a mixed bag. I feel like, right? Because yeah, there's so many draws. They also scored what, three against Torino, right? So, they can score goals, and they still have Lookman in there. I know he's been reintroduced, so I don't know. I haven't watched a ton of it, Atalanta this year. Like you said before, they seem to be a very Juric team once again this year. Like the goal differential for them is pretty good too. Like they scored 11 goals this year so far. That's almost as many as Milan. So
yeah,
definitely a threat in there too. I think I still see this game based on how Milan have been performing. I mean, this is we'll see who how fit we are again. It seems like it'll be the same kind of lineup that we're going to run on the Tuesday. So, I mean, yeah, there's such a mixed bag. I don't really know where to go, but I do think I think I trust Milan trying to bounce back after a tough game against Pisa to kind of pick themselves up a bit of a level. I would see this game probably going like a 2-1, I would think, for Milan.
2-1 for Milan. Okay,
Yeah,
and any
yeah.
scores in mind? This is a bonus. This is
Uh,
on free. We just always like to throw
yeah,
out
yeah,
some
yeah.
names.
Sure, sure. I'm gonna say because he has to. I'm gonna say CDK scores against us.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're
Of
gonna
course.
say.
I mean, yeah, yeah, of course.
No
Yeah, of
doubt.
course. Yeah, of course. And then I'm gonna go a Rafa Leao goal once again, and then give me another Luka Modric goal.
That
Yeah,
would be very needed. Prediction is tough, man. So many games in a row
yeah,
after a tough win like that. I do feel like we will turn up more for this game. One very disappointing thing for me was scoring early, and then that first half, we were like, yeah, we were creating, but there was a lot of walking around. There was only Modric ran for the full 90, Salamanca's ran for the full 90s,
yeah.
Pavlovic ran for the full 90, and had some offensive sparks that scare me. I was like, "Oh my
Oh
god,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I did not know this man had this kind of bag." I was the first one to be surprised. But there was a lot of people that seemed very content with like, "Yeah, okay, Pisa should roll over," and that's just not how Serie A goes. So I
oh,
think they will turn up a little bit more for this. It is away from home. I think we go back to a clean sheet. I think Allegri will be heavy pressed on conceding 2 goals from Pisa, even though they were kind of random. So give me a clean sheet. Uh, Apparently, I'm now Rafa Leao #1 defender to all the people in my DMs that rage bait me so successfully every time. So
dude,
I agree with you. He will bag yet another goal because he is Mr. Consistent. That is the line that I'm pushing this year. Um, and then give me. I've been predicting Santi goal for every week and it never comes. So
yeah. I mean, it's yeah. What are the better odds? Is Santi goal or Modric goal? It's got to be
Modric,
Santi.
honestly, some
Yeah,
he
yeah,
plays
yeah,
deep line playmaker and he has
yeah,
a much higher chance to score
yeah.
than our supposedly starting striker. Do you think Santi starts or does he go in Cuckoo?
I mean, I think it will depend on how fit he is, but I
Sure.
feel like I think probably he will start again. I think if you go, yeah, I mean, if you want to take the sample size of the last 3 games, he's been pretty good 2 of the 3, pretty bad last time, and I think just because he's the most fit still,
This is true.
I think we probably see him start again against Atalanta, and then maybe come off at half or something. Who knows? I don't know, depending on
Okay.
how he plays.
Will be interesting. It's a bigger team, and we saw that Allegri is not afraid to, especially in the first half, defend way more than attack. So I wouldn't be shocked if he does like another Salamancas experiment or put in Cuckoo just to play, I don't know, to come back more. But then again, maybe you're right. Santi does, even though he shouldn't, have a better work rate defensively than Cuckoo. So,
Yeah, and
um,
also like you have to think in the teams that want to play a bit more football, like Pisa. Listen, it's like they were pretty hard to break down too. Like it's I think Gilardino has them like I mean for as good as Pisa can be, like relatively solid, right? They were tough. They were
yeah,
tough out, and
yeah,
every Serie A team is right. But
yeah,
Atalanta with players like Charles de Ketelare and Lookman are going to try and play a bit more football, even though they don't take too many risks, like you said, as a Juric team.
yeah,
I think Santi just flourishes a bit better in the teams that give him a bit more space. Whereas like the low block teams where he's just like back to goal with not a great
yeah.
first touch,
Not
he
it.
really struggles.
Yeah.
But if you can imagine some space on the counter attack for this game, I see like maybe a Rafael run that he squares to Santi for a tap in, something like that.
A
You
classic.
never know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do think there is a small chance. Again, it will all matter on his fitness, and he probably doesn't have 90 minutes in his legs. On Cuckoo, this is. I do think if Allegri goes with a more defensive mindset, especially to begin with, with a team that you know is gonna at some point at least try to attack because they have that sort of squad and that sort of talent. You sort of try to do like with Napoli, where you're like, look, first half we just don't concede, low block, and then we put on Cuckoo and Leo up there, and we just run and gun them on the counter.
Sure.
I think there's a chance for that. But my prediction, I'm not chickening out of it. I'll come back to it. I'll say clean sheet. Give me 2-0, and this is purely to get the internet to absolutely find me. Rafa Leao, Mr. Consistent, and Yusuf Fofana. Come on, boys. Come
Wow.
on,
Wow.
boys.
Wow. Wow.
We'll
Like
post
Charles
that.
has to score. He's got to score. He's
This
got
is
to
this
score.
is also true. I mean, Cuadrado, who scored more goals against us than any other team in his career.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised Kamara didn't score against us, but yeah, this you're right. That's kind of written
I
written
went
in the
to
stars.
Atalanta versus Monza in May when I was in
Ooh,
Italy, and like
nice.
I think the Ketelata scored. I think he had a hat trick that game. I can't remember. He scored at least. I think he scored at least two. I was
Yeah,
watching it. I was like, of course he did. The game I go see, he's like, he looks like. I mean, I was Monza. They weren't very good last year
yeah.
either, but he looked so good in that game. It was hilarious.
Yeah, for me it was such a frustrating experience because you could see that this guy could play football, and then the goal doesn't come, and it's kind of like with Santi now, where it's like, oh, and then he scored that one against Sampdoria, and then gets called back in the last minute, and
Yeah,
you could just see that I don't know, maybe Mu never flourished in Milan because he seems like a player where the sort of pressure really got to him, and
yeah,
when you're Milan, the pressure is always going to be there, even when you finish eighth. So
yeah.
maybe never would have worked, but you just feel him like if you just give him time, that there was a baller there, and we could use him, even
Yeah, I
even to this
agree.
day.
I agree, but also he's such a weird player too, where it's like he's not really a striker, not really a 10, not
Yeah,
really you know what I mean? So
yeah,
for a coach like Pioli, he was so regimented, where it's like we
yeah,
play this, nothing is changing. If you don't fit this, you're out, right?
yeah,
So like I think Charles had a very strict set of rules to play under, and he just it wasn't going to work out for him no matter what,
yeah.
honestly. So
In
yeah,
but I mean, give him to like an Allegri in this weird two striker thing where
yeah, 100%. Yeah,
with Leao
exactly,
you can pass it and
exactly,
communicate well, but
exactly.
also could have a aerial presence in the box.
Yeah, we'll never know,
But
man.
yeah, we'll never know. One of those many
Yeah,
what ifs that Milan
yeah,
has, especially with the turnover of players in the last few years. But
yeah.
we've gone already way too long, and I don't want to steal any much more of your time. Marco, thank you so much for joining us. We gotta do this more often. Uh, Obviously, AC Milan Zone is your home now too, whenever you want for your opinions. Otherwise, anyone still watching, please go check out Marco out on TikTok. He's on Instagram. He's on TikTok. I believe it's me, Marco G. Correct?
That is correct. Yeah, thank you very much.
And of course, all the links will be in the description. Check him out.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you, man, and thank you for having me once again. This was tons of fun. It's great to always connect with other Milan fans across the world. And like you said, yeah. So me, Marco G. You can find me wherever you want to find me. We're approaching 50K on TikTok, which is pretty
Ooh,
unreal. So if you want to
congrats.
help out, that'd be awesome. I think we're like I don't know 1,000 away or something like that. So
Nice.
that'd
So
be
that's
cool.
for the next watch along. Marco, that's great watch alongs on TikTok. Atalanta, I think that's your 50K right there.
Like maybe, yeah, who knows, man. But thank you again, man. This was tons of fun. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Then, as always, Forza Milan, and have a good night.
Forza Milan.